Hello, I'm FPX Toycat, and welcome back to the episode of the Minecraft Bedrock Update Adventures Let's Play. This is the weekly update as to what's been going on, both in my survival world, as well as life, the universe, and everything in between. And today, honestly, I've been having a little bit of fun playing Minecraft this last week. I really wanted to get some creativity out, and I've been having some fun doing that for background gameplays and stuff. But today I wanted to show you some of the weird techniques that I've just always found fascinating that you can basically only do because stairs and slabs make no sense. But I'll dive into that after I've got myself some wood, because I need not just some spruce wood, not just some oak wood, and indeed, you might guess from where we're going with this, all of the woods, because I'm going to chop down a birch tree as well. I was going to chop down the other types of tree, but you know what, let's be honest, the best way to do that is to go to your base, whether there are creepers there or not. Very concerning when there's just one creeper in your base, right? Where does it come from and how? But we're also going to get ourselves the other types of wood. And then I want to take you to a part of the Let's Play world you probably haven't seen much of before. That's right, when you go past these giant cobble and endstone cubes, plus the Netherrack cube, I guess, you end up at this little area, which is this weird kind of frozen ocean area. It's frozen because Minecraft biomes are weird. I think it used to just be an ocean, but then it became part of a tundra biome, and you know what happens in a tundra biome? The water freezes, and you know, it just never really felt like that natural of an ocean. I have a big announcement to make regarding this ocean, but in this little corner right here, I like the development that I've done. I like that where the ice has faded away and indeed been replaced by my giant oil rig, something about Toycat's stance in the environment maybe, or replaced with this giant little warehouse looking structure. Actually, it looks nothing like a warehouse on the outside, but on the inside I've got two tables. That's what a warehouse is to me. You're just gonna have to trust me when I say that. But basically, I figured that right over here, in this quaint little area, I would make something and show some of the weird building quirks of stabs and stairs. Because by now, I feel like everyone's aware of this most basic but useful of tips that did you know even though Minecraft only allows you to place blocks in full spots, so this is the only place you can place a spruce log, you can't place a spruce log on top of a warped slab, because if you do, it places there because this is a separate block space to this one, and that can be maybe useful for something or other if you want to make a really quirky staircase. You can do it like that. Wow, it looks kind of strange with the gaps. So what you could do instead is you could take a half slab and use the top half of one block and the bottom half of another, and it will look exactly like a full normal block. As you can see right there, that is just a dark oak plank, right? And this is just a warped plank. Are they called planks? I'm pretty sure they are. And then here's another dark oak plank. This is one of my favorite small but very useful tips, right? You can use like just two half slabs to make an offset block in Minecraft. It's not actually an offset block in Minecraft, but I mean, it kind of looks like it. And isn't that basically the same thing? Can we place this under there if we try hard enough? We can. Wow, isn't there a certain beauty to this? I think you'd be crazy if you said no. I mean, maybe that's the wrong word, but you see the point. Like, wow, this is fun the way we can make these happen. But one of the ones that I learned about fairly recently while just goofing around in creative is that you can do this on the other offset as well if you really want to. And so let me show an example of that. Okay, so I only brought a few blocks of every type of wood, and so I guess we're using dark oak as the base. Not because I think it's the prettiest wood, but solely because I have the most of it, and so keep in mind this will be a very strange addition. Honestly, you should know by now, almost everything I do has a basis, not in whether it's a great idea, but whether I have the resources for it. Imagine that you want to dig out half of a block in Minecraft. You can't do that because blocks are whole. However, because stairs are actually 3/4 of a block, as you are probably aware by now, if you instead place that and surround it on all sides by blocks of a normal type, as you can see, what it actually starts to look like is it starts to look like, oh, there is just a quarter block of thing missing right here. You can do the same with half slabs, but it's a lot more noticeable that, like, oh, yeah, that is a half slab gap in there. But yeah, if you use stairs, you can do some very interesting things. In either case, of course, this is smart for two reasons. One of which is the fact that if these are actually full blocks all the way around, which you can choose to do, they'll block light. The stairs won't block light, however, and it means that we could hypothetically let light through on both sides. That's why it's so bright down here, even though the sun is setting. Speaking of the sun setting, let's go to bed and show you my favorite one that I learned somewhat recently. Because making off-centered blocks is really fun, in my opinion, but everyone knows you can do it on this axis, or at least most people do, but I didn't know until this last week while I was just browsing the internet that you can actually offset blocks on the other angle if you have some stair blocks. And the good news is today we have precisely that, because if we place down a staircase over here and then a staircase over there, we get this effect. It looks like nothing until you surround it with slabs. Because if you place down two stair blocks facing each other while the slab blocks are underneath them, you get this really fun effect in my opinion, where as you can see, the two staircases just look like they're actually one raised up block. This is distinctly one block and another block, however, and that means that we can then do the exact same effect, but this time using a real, actual block that really does exist. We'll use, actually we can just use two slabs, can't we? We place down two slabs and it does the same thing, and we have blocks that are just offset on this one axis. Then we do the same thing, but facing that way and facing this way again, and boom, look at that. I think you'll find that we very easily, or at least very interestingly, created 3 blocks, or at least they look like blocks. You could argue they're half slabs, but they're offset on this axis by going this way. Actually, just for fun, let's use let's use warp for the middle of this one too, to use the exact same effect. It's brown, and then blue, and then brown. I didn't realize until this video right here now how much I love dark oak and the warped woods together. Such a genius. You know, this should be a thing more people do more often. But yeah, we can do this for not just these two types of woods, but obviously every other type of wood in Minecraft. Would you like to see 2 jungle wood stairs? You might want to. Would you like to see 2 crimson wood stairs? I know I'd like to, just because I'm curious as to how that looks. Oh, I like it actually. And then we could cut back to some jungle stairs, and we can just kind of leave this there here, and then later on confuse people with exactly what's going on. Because yeah, it's one of those small optical illusions that when I've showed you about it, maybe less impressive, but there's just something very fun to me about these tiny little quirks of building that I just enjoy. I don't know, something like using, these staircases mixed in with some slabs can make these really nice modern-looking tables, right? It's very simple, and yet you can do it, and that's why I've done it for my little showcase area. I only ever used this for one video, and I actually just looked at it for 4 seconds before running off and talking about RTX. But it is a great example of, oh, we have to use regular slabs here, or I think the whole concept breaks down, actually. Yeah, we don't use if we use these slabs right here, it makes it very obvious what we've done there. So the slabs around them do have to match, otherwise the whole concept falls apart. Well, you know what? Today we learned. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I don't know if this is gonna work or not, but it is what I'm gonna do, is I'm gonna try and make a really fun little 4 wooded color thing using whatever woods I have the most of, because I think that constraints in and out of Minecraft are one of the things that can really help make something interesting. I feel like I think this should be oak. If we're gonna, we want to make this a perfect match, we're gonna chop down these and replace these with oak as well, actually. But something I've thought about a lot recently is I'm looking at various things for a house. I've become a home buyer. It's been a whole thing, and some of the most interesting places, because when you go out to an interesting place, the things that actually attract most people to being ooh, this is a really interesting place, this is really cool, it's not seeing things that are objectively great, but seeing weird utilizations of things. So I'm sure you've seen at some point, if you live in a modern city in 2020, whatever current year is for you, I guess, actually, also, wait, I've got an idea. What if instead of just going in a straight line, we then zigzag right back over to there? I love this. You know, I wish I had more dark oak wood. Should we just use spruce wood and then use jungle logs? Because jungle kind of looks like oak wood anyway, and spruce kind of looks like... Yeah, this is a great idea that I'm not even going to question in the slightest. Let's make a few jungle stairs, shall we? Always use a stone cutter if you're not making wood. If you're making wood, then it sucks, and everything's terrible. But now let's make a ton of jungle slabs, and then let's make a ton of spruce slabs as well. My inventory is going to rapidly get filled with strange, confusing things, but it's great. But yeah, I feel sometimes working within the constraints of what you have can lead to much more interesting results. Because people, it's almost like in every sport this happens. The Olympics just happened, so I can talk about sports and have the vaguest idea of what's happening. I saw the celebrations from countries that did pretty well. If you live in the United States, you genuinely might have not known the Olympics was happening, even though it was a big thing for your team, right? Because that's what you expected. You expected to come in the top 2, as indeed has not happened forever. But there are a few countries, I think, like the Philippines, and there's another country that got like their first medal in several decades, and it's like that whole country is like, yeah, this is insane, because it's the underdog story is like one of those tales as old as time. That like it's not really about in the grand scheme of things, people don't care about what you do as much as like how much better than what you expected. Oh, I think these are 1 block too short on this side, right? Yeah, they are. We can fix that. But ultimately, people don't care as much about what you do as they care about like what you do in relation to what they expected from you. People love to see, like when you see something that's entirely unexpected, that's actually pretty good, you're like, whoa, that's wonderful. Whereas when you watch a movie, which as an example, I watched somewhat recently Space Jam: A New Legacy. It's not that great of a thing, but actually it is. It's like animation overlaid onto famous basketball players. I think multiple of them. Could be wrong. Do I have no more dark oak? Okay, I do have dark oak. We're gonna use the last of our dark oak just so we can pull this off and get a last outside going. Because I really should use a different colored one for the outside, but I like it anyway, so I'm just gonna stick with this. And it's gonna be how we do this. We're gonna build a wood today, we're gonna be creative, and the end outcome is gonna be terrible, except maybe it will surprise you and be something else. But yeah, I watched Space Jam, and it's like this incredible, like every moment of that movie has had like professionals look over it for the last X number of years, and the reaction of most people was just like, okay, that's not bad, I guess. I mean, it could be better, it could be worse. That's just that is the reaction that most people seem to have had to it, and that's the like it. I feel like in every like big creative work, this is kind of true, where people just kind of expect a certain level of greatness. And so when you make something amazing, it's like, well, but, it could have been a lot better than that, right? I mean, I'm not saying that what you did was bad. I'm just saying it could be much, much better. Whereas, here's the example everyone always gives. Like, if you try to put away 2 hours to watch a movie, it's, like, hard to do. You put away 2 hours to watch a video essay, you're like, man, this has changed my outlook on everything. Even though in reality, the 2-hour video essay took someone just over 2 hours to make, whereas, the 2-hour movie, again, took multiple, work weeks, dozens of them, from hundreds of individuals and hundreds of millions of dollars in all of the different things to pay the people and get the things done, etc., etc., etc. Have I done this correctly? I don't think I have. I think this is a solid block, right? And this isn't a solid block. This is a jungle stair there and a jungle stair there. And now we can just fill in the rest with whatever slabs we have. Should we use every slab at least once in here? Yeah, we might as well. Let's get some acacia going. Everyone loves some nice orange wood. Oh, when you use 2 together, it totally ruins the effect. Cannot do that. That's not okay. So we've used some of that, and then we're also going to remove this block right here. And we're going to put... I guess we'll put orange in here too. No, I don't even know anymore. I should have had some like actual plan for how I was going to do this. And I don't, and it's ruined everything. I bet there... Wait, you could just use every wood in the in-between ones, right? Because there's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we got 5 and 6. So just... Oh no, this is terrible. This... With some good planning... Okay, if we then use this block here, and this block there, we can use every single wood type once. As an actual block, as well as a side block. So this block should be dark oak, because it's the furthest away from dark oak. Oh no, this one I guess should be. There we go. Do we have one of those blocks? We don't. So we're going to temporarily borrow a couple more from over here. So we can go, yeah, look at this dark oak block. And then we're going to make an oak block. We don't have one of those yet for some reason. And then we're going to round out with this final spot being the last type of wood we haven't placed anywhere here yet. And that is... I genuinely cannot tell you, actually. Spruce, I'm guessing? Yeah, spruce is one of these, but it's not one of these. So we just take 2 of these spruce things, and we go... Where is the spruce? Are these my only spruce things? Okay, we place this upside down, and we hope no one notices. No one notices indeed. Nice. And then we place the last wood. Okay, so there's the 2 nether woods, then there's spruce, acacia, birch, dark oak, log, and then there's jungle. So if we place jungle here, it'll look really ugly. So we instead have to move jungle to here, and then we move the red nether one over to here. And look at that, Toycat has officially made art. Do you notice how it's got a little curve shape to it, like an arch shape? That's because if you put it upside down, it's V for victory, as in I've just got the victory in making you watch me build something terrible for most of 20 minutes. What have you been doing with your Monday? So, you know, you could watch a TV show that someone put a lot of effort and money and thought into, but instead you watch something on the internet. It's very strange, is it not? I mean, at this point, you're so committed, you might as well stick through it. See where it's going. If you left now, you'd be leaving before we got to the best of it. Or maybe instead, you should see it as like, well, if you leave now, at least it can't get worse. Am I right? You know, you stay around. It's got one direction to go, and that one direction is terribly downwards. Whereas you leave now, at least it hasn't gotten worse. It's always a life lesson, by the way. You know, I always assume to myself, like, this is the peak anything can get to in terms of good or bad. And I've been proven wrong on that so many times. Like, I don't know, like, just humans are very good at predicting the future and not even knowing they're doing it. And I've done this to myself so much recently. But one of the biggest examples is... Actually, before we do that, should I do another piece of creative whatnottery over here? I think I should. I think I'm going to do precisely that. I've always wanted... Again, I've had this real itch in the last week because I've been so busy working on various house things. It genuinely is a full-time job calling individuals who I would expect would like to do the job that I want to give them because they make money from doing so. But actually, it turns out there is just so much work in pretty much every professional building field in London. The people are like, oh yeah, just call back in 2 months and then we'll maybe consider coming around and giving you a quote for how much that'll cost. And it's like, what? How is... This is your business model? Like, non-ironically? Also, is Minecraft noise working? It is. My bad. But yeah, I've been making phone calls, and they've been super stressful. Like, honestly, not even like there's stressful things to say. It's just like, I don't know what I'm meant to say in these. So you say, like, hi. And then they're like, hi. They don't say anything, you know, like, it's like, oh, is this insert your name here? Yes. And it's like, I'd like you to do this thing, maybe. And they're like, oh, yeah, well, that's a... You've got an architect to design it already, right? I'm like, an architect? Am I building a tower? And I'm like, well, you know, we can recommend you an architect. And it's like, okay, sure then. And then they're like, okay, call this number. And then get back to us once you've called him and paid him a ton of money. And it's like, I just want to give you some money and make you knock down a wall. You know, I almost am at this point just like, okay, knocking... there's a wall in my house I'm like 80% sure I can knock down. Why don't I just knock it down myself? Why? Also, I need some sand for what I'm about to do. So I'm going to go away now. I'm going to get a few more dark oak slabs because I'm seriously missing some. And then I'm going to... Also, you know what I should do? I should link this to there and make this an A. A for Andrew. Would be very smart. By the way, I have a big announcement. So do you notice this ocean right here? This ocean that is very nice on the left, very nice on the right, but pretty bland and boring by itself. If you don't believe me that it's bland and boring, allow me to show you right now the extent of this ocean. It's not much, right? And so today I'm making the announcement that I intend to drain this ocean. I intend to drain this miserable mess that calls itself an ocean because two reasons. One is that obviously draining an ocean has been the project people have been tempting me into for a while. I've always wanted to do it, but I felt like, you know what, is now the time? And the answer has been widely like, no. I mean, I have this widespread thing of like, okay, so for the longest time I've been very busy streaming and making videos basically every single day because of the last week of me just having to like make phone calls and follow people up and then like, send emails and do all the worst forms of human communication just because I have so many house tasks that I need to do that are slowly getting done. It's made me miss Minecraft in a serious way, and in the same way, not having internet and not being able to stream, I think it's been almost 3 weeks now, makes me want to come back and do something, because a lot of people won't be able to watch the first stream back. I appreciate that. Streaming is all about consistency, and I have zero of that. Is this a glow squid die? It is. That's nice. A lot of streaming is about consistency, and I don't have that. I totally understand. There's going to be a lot of fall off as a result of that. And so I want to do something that's just really fun for me, and that hopefully you as a viewer can get some value from as well. And so Draining the Ocean is exactly that project. In fact, in some background gameplay I recorded recently and will show up at some point in the next few weeks on this channel, I even put respiration free on this helmet. That's how committed I am to draining this ocean. How long would it take? I genuinely have no clue. All I know is that something kind of interesting that isn't smart, but I'm going to do anyway, just on the off chance flint becomes valuable, is because the bottom of this ocean is sand, so I'd get confused real fast if I use sand to make it. I think I'm going to use gravel, at least for some amount of this draining project, and it's going to be fun because no sane person would drain an ocean to begin with. But if you were going to drain a big area of your water, you would always use sand, because sand is renewable. When you get destroyed, it drops itself. Gravel, on the other hand, every time you break gravel, you've got a small chance of not getting it back. Oh, I've got Silk Touch. Never mind, actually. Oh, no, but you use torches. That's why. So I could use my Silk Touch shovel. Guarantee I get it back every time. But I'm lazy. I'm going to use torches instead. And so, would you like to witness me making insane amounts of gravel and actually valuable resource if you want concrete? And if you want concrete, you might, for reasons you're about to see. I could do that, or the much more fun thing is to slowly watch the world burn, which we'll be doing this Thursday. My usual stream time, that's 8 PM UK time. It's going to be happening. I'm excited. But in case you're still here today and you're like, are you promoting your streams right now, Toycat? Shouldn't you be playing Minecraft for my entertainment and telling me about the world or whatever it is you do during these? You know what? Sure. Do you want to hear about the world? The world sucks because it's filled with people who, for some reason, think a phone call is the best way to speak to someone. I've heard the reason that phone calls are, like, bad for most human beings, because, there are some people that like phone calls, like sociopaths, serial killers, murderers, all the worst in society. There are some people that like phone calls. Your grandma, she's definitely grouped in with those, people I just mentioned before. There are some people who genuinely claim to like phone calls, and, there are some people who genuinely claim that Minecraft is a bad game. I'm just saying, we can say anything we want here on the internet. There are no consequences. But what I do think is interesting is that, like, there is a psychological reason for it being so bad, supposedly, and that's that. Did I eat all of my cooked pork chops already? Darn, I guess I really did. And that's also, should we grab some gravel now? Now let's grab some sand now. I'm not going to be using it anytime too soon. For draining purposes, it seems. Maybe, question mark. Pending review. So I'm going to use my sand that I have right here for something fun. And something fun could just entail, I really need to drop off all this wood. Give me a second. I need to make like a wood chest, because this just is not working for me. Okay, I made space for most of the types of wood, besides these jungle stairs, which I've got an idea. I'll just put them right here as little seats for the llamas when they stand around the pen. There we go. Look at that. Toycat making use of the blocks he has to make something slightly more delightful. And then also, I'm going to make some paper and use some of the gunpowder that I've picked up unnecessarily to make fireworks. See? It all works out in the end anyway. But, yeah, it's interesting because usually I spend a lot of time... One of my goals is to spend, like, at least some amount of every day reflecting on your current situation. It shouldn't be a big part of every day. Like, if you have your entire day free to just question, like, do you enjoy life and is it going in a good way, you'll find ways to make the answer to that question no. If that's not you, I'm very pleased as to how you get to be there. I think there's a significant portion of the population that can't be that way, though, right? Like it's like a human desire to be useful to other human beings on our own tribe, but we don't have tribes anymore now, for better or for worse, depending on your view of tribal civilizations, I guess. And so instead, what you do is you do your best for not the tribe, but instead, wait, I've got to place like a block there, and like one there, and one here. And look at that, now it's symmetrical. Isn't that nice? And also, now we can place these blocks and move very nicely and swiftly onto my next little fun thought. I've wanted to do this forever, and I bet it's not going to be as fun as I want. But let's do some sand art. But yeah, so okay, look, I'm going to need a lot more torches than I realized for this. But did you know you can place sand on top of torches? Wait, if you place sand on top of torches, and then you remove the initial torch, that would remove the sand, which removes the torch, which removes the sand, which removes the torch, which removes the sand. And so in other words, let's say you really love pickaxes, and I really love pickaxes. What you can do is something as simple as this, and then when you remove this, it makes a big pickaxe. I mean, you could argue this is a pickaxe. You could also argue it's a big T. That's all I'm seeing. If you see something else in this, it's you that's wrong, not me. Anyway, speaking of people being wrong about things, I'm going to do a little bit of map art right now. Or sand art, I guess. It'll be fun, using my 16 torches. And, so yeah, I kind of, like, realized that, like, I like to have some, like, moments to reflect on, like, what is life and everything like that. Because I think sometimes it can be really easily, like, you can get really easily trapped in just, like, thinking about just you and the people who are solely around you, which I think that's the most important thing, is to care about the people closest to you, right? But I also think that, actually, do I want to do it this way? I think I've messed up already. How about I just make a big O for the sake of going pretty, and then we'll come back and we'll make a real thing. But, yeah, I think, this is going to be my tribute to Minecraft, because I like Minecraft so much, okay? I think a lot about how, if someone says to you, oh yeah, there's this alpaca in the UK, and the alpaca has tuberculosis, and as a result, it's tuberculosis is a disease that is on the UK's list of I don't know, eradicatable diseases, and so every time they find an animal that tests positive, they kill it, whether that's a cow, whether that's an alpaca, whether that's whatever animal, because it's a danger to every other animal of that type, because it has a very infectious disease. And if I tell you that, you're like, oh, okay then. Whereas if I tell you instead, oh yeah, there's this alpaca the government wants to kill. Wait, speaking of government wanting to kill things, can't kill this sick art. Yeah, look at that. I made a block in Minecraft, but also there's a sand block here. Okay, now it's a block in. Now it's a nether portal, I guess. Yeah, I made a sand portal. If you do this, you go to the sand dimension. You know what? There's a Minecraft idea people don't tell you about. Why don't we all go to the sand dimension together? Okay, let's remove this. Let's go to bed. Let's start again fresh in the morning, huh? So it's a very convenient thing that I carry around with me, the ingredients to make all the torches in the world, because you need a lot of these to make this actually work. But again, fortunately, got enough of that going on just in this lovely little shulker box. I recommend everyone carry around a shulker box with them, but I think I'd also recommend everyone be a little obsessive about torch placing, because it's a fun task. Doesn't this look like I had fun placing all these torches? Yes, it does. Except, that's something that's been in my mind this last week, because one of the weird things is can I tell you about some family drama? Do you like this? This is something that's generally best not shared on the internet, but I want to share this with everyone right now, just because I feel like it's a great example of like where two separate people both being like, oh yeah, like butting heads over something dumb. And I've always been a big believer in the idea that like just because something is family, it doesn't make it sacred. Like, you should ideally be judging family on its own merits too, and maybe you can judge them nicer than normal, because also these torches on the ground are going to mess up the art. I didn't even consider. You know, actually, if you place torches down, it's gonna ruin your life. I guess I have to place it, like, on top of the ocean. But then it would be better if I did use gravel instead of sand, huh? This is why you should use concrete powder, I guess. You know, we'll just make a giant T. That's all we're gonna do today. We're doing all this work just to eventually have it be removed. Because ultimately, isn't your whole life gonna be removed? If you really get down to it. By the way, another great thing about Bedrock is placing these is really, really easy. Assuming you do this next to one another, then you can kind of like spam place. It's very nice. It's very fun. Very easy. And we're just going to make a beautiful show today, okay? I was going to make a really nice piece of art that said subscribe. It was going to be hilarious. You're going to be like, wow, that's great. And now I've lowered your expectations. All you're getting now instead is just sand that falls on top of each other and makes a little sand building. You happy with yourself? You shouldn't be. You should feel pretty sad. Just like I felt sad after... I recently purchased a house. It's been every waking moment of... It's annoying because for some people it's like I don't care, Toy Cat. And I agree with you. I don't want to care about this, but I do care, okay? And I kind of have to because it's the largest purchase I have made in my life and likely ever will make in my life. And so... basically, when I actually finished the house, I was out of country, and so fortunately, I had a good friend slash relative, because it has to be someone who shares I think it might be a last name, but it has to be someone who is in your family. Pick up the keys if you can't do so, and obviously, I needed to pick up the keys on the house that I just purchased, and so fortunately, my brother was able to do so, and he went a step further than just being able to do so. He looked around the house and gave me a tour, and that, I thought, was that. Wow, okay, that's the house, that's the tour. Okay, we're all good to go, and I'll move in 3 weeks later. But when I moved in 3 weeks later, there was like one room that was just full of furniture, like absolutely full of furniture. Like when I say a room full of furniture, you're thinking, well, yeah, like that's what rooms have in them. But no, the room was actually full, like to the ceiling with furniture, and then supposedly, in fact, factually, like another bunch, like maybe another whole room worth had been taken off somewhere, and he was like, okay, yep, me and my friend, who is working for free, by the way, I encouraged him to do it for free, came round to your house, and we took all this old furniture that you probably didn't want anyway, because it came with the house. And, like, I probably could have negotiated it not to, but I was on such a strict timeline, I was like, whatever. Some of that furniture will be worthwhile. It doesn't cost much to remove furniture. Whatever. If I can, do £100 worth of furniture removal. It sucks, but, like, on the grand scheme of, like, the tax break I was set to lose by stretching out the house purchase, I didn't do it. And so, what happened is my brother just, like, decided on himself, like, you need this done. He didn't ask, hey, do you want me to do this? It was like, I'm doing this. The guy's coming around today. He's going to cost, whatever. I'm sorting it out. But in exchange, do you mind buying me dinner sometime? And I was like, sure, I'll buy you dinner sometime. And so, to long story short, this one, the dinner kind of like escalated up to like being this like very expensive Michelin star, £129 a person plus wine pairings. What does plus wine pairings mean? Am I just not fancy enough to understand? I guess that actually is factually what happened, right? Yeah, basically, it's like a very, very expensive place he offers, and I'm like, hey, well, that was a thank you dinner for removing furniture, but like I'd like all the furniture removed first, and it started like a whole interesting dispute. But again, ignoring this like specific details because that's whatever. The thing I find interesting about this is like, is someone doing you a favor if they don't ask you first, right? Maybe there's an exception for family in this one, but like I would argue most of doing something nice for someone is like asking and checking, hey, would you like me to do this thing first? It's rule 101 in 2020, 2021, I guess we're in now. The rule number 1 is like ask for consent. It's a good idea. There are some things where of course you wouldn't. You wouldn't ask like, hey, can I what's a really dumb thing? I guess you could really ask for anything, actually. Hey Toy Cat, can I ask you a question? That's a dumb thing because you have to ask a question to do it. Or like, can I touch you, you say as you touch someone? Dumb questions that are like, okay, no, that's not really useful. The worst one is, someone calling you up and saying, hey, do you mind a quick phone call? And it's like, well, even if you hung up right now, this would still be a quick phone call. So, you know, well done. You've misunderstood the concept of the word quick, and I'm annoyed. I think this is... Okay, I've got a whole nother stack. We'll keep on going. You know, I want to go through this. But it's interesting that, you know, something that you can entirely want... you know, I guess we don't even think about this a lot, but, like... and it might be, like, Toy Cat learns that, like, he has control issues in a weird way. But it's like, yeah, actually... It is very, like, you know, weird to, like, force a nice task onto someone, right? And sometimes it can be useful, but there is not a single commercial relationship where if someone says, oh yeah, by the way, we've signed you up for this thing that's going to cost you this amount, where I'm not like, this is incredibly suspicious, right? Because, you know, generally speaking, we have distrust in corporations or whatever. We have even okay, you know, something I find crazy. Can we so, you know, that whole Geronimo the llama situation, if you really think about it, is which is a real, by the way, Geronimo the alpaca is a real situation. And it's kind of like the nation's proxy for talking about, you know, like COVID and whatnot, right? Because if you make life very hellish for a small number of people, you can make, you know, life slightly better for everyone else. Likewise, you can choose not to do terrible things to a small group of people, and life gets worse for everyone. You can apply this to, like, you know, the dilemma of prisons. You can apply this to COVID things. Like, if you make it so that everyone who comes in from overseas has to not see their family or anyone for 2 weeks, like, you know, New Zealand successfully did and Australia didn't successfully do, you can, you know, like literally breaking human rights treaty, human rights treaties, but like international law. In the case of Australia, they made life very nice. You know, they were partying on the beach while COVID was a thing last year. Is it worth breaching fundamental rules? You know, United Nations human rights conventions. Is it worth breaching those solely for the sake of you know, like making life better for everyone? And most people, once you really push them, probably get to the, yeah, sure, sort of phase. But when you see, oh, it's a cuddly alpaca, this cuddly alpaca right here will be shot. And by the way, those tests have a 0.3% false negative rate. And so there's a 0.3% chance you'd be murdering a cute alpaca for nothing. It's kind of the COVID question, right? And kind of, you know, like the like, should you make life hellish for a small number of people? Or should, you know, like, you just accept that some things happen? Or, you know, the wider question, and it's interesting because one of the, like, few breakthroughs that wasn't like, let's make life painful for everyone situation, like the first one we had in a while, was, hey, all you have to do is you put this thing in your arm or your body or whatever you want to say, and then, you know, it reduces this problem. You know, there's debates about how much it reduces the problem. There's debates about whether it's a good long-term solution, but people worked out, like, hey, do this thing, it's good for society as a whole, asterisk. But people are so suspicious of, like, oh, there's this really great thing, right, that you're just going to give away for free? Ooh, I don't know about that. And then a lot of places are like, oh, people aren't signing up for enough. Then they start paying people to put this thing in their body, and they're like, ooh, I don't know about that one. Whereas I feel like if it was this, like, paid endeavor that you had to put some effort into getting, and then people could actually brag about getting, like, yeah, kind of vaccinated, you know? Oh, you're not? Oh, sorry, sucks for you, huh? Tiny chance of getting, you know, this thing. By the way, should we do the big moment right now? You know, I feel like I'm not going to do it. We're just going to leave that how that is. We're just going to move on to the next thing now, which is trading with the Wandering Llama and praying that he gives me... He doesn't give me. He gives me birch saplings, kelp, and ferns. That's nice, isn't it? Thank you, Wandering Trader. Always, never a disappointment around you. That's for sure. But this mentality comes up in so many aspects of life, and we don't like to talk about the underlying issue because it doesn't work well with politics. Because in politics, people are pretty evenly divided by certain values. But once you get to the core fundamental thing of, like, you know, would you prefer the, you know, the rights of many versus the rights of the few? Would you Would you condemn a small amount of society for the benefit of the total? Would you, in the trolley problem, you know, the most basic thing, would you murder one person so that you could save 5 others? And, like, everyone knows that, like, well, yeah, I'd kill a person to save 5, probably, if you push them. If you then start to add all of the other things that are common to the human experience to the mix, so it's like, oh yeah, but you could kill the person, and there's a 1% chance the 5 people wouldn't die. Wouldn't die anyway, and you're not actually saving their lives. Or there's a 1% chance you kill the 6th person, and the 5 still die anyway. So therefore, the worst outcome, which is 6 people die instead of 5, can only happen if you try to save the 5 people. You know, and then it's like, oh, should I really do that? And then you add the other, you know, easy human thing of we love easy solutions. Instead of, I have so many of these llamas around the world. Should I go on like a mass killing spree at some point? See, right, this is the Geronimo the llama thing. Like, I mean, the alpaca thing. Do I want to murder Geronimo? I don't want to. But I mean, he is going to slowly start taking up my frame rate and spitting at me, it seems. You want to spit at me? Do you want to go? Do you want to? I'm not sure you do, friend. But yeah, it's a really interesting argument once you really get down to it, that we have these like same few debates we have time and time and time again. Every society, for instance, has a slightly different treatment of you know, the prison population, but it's in almost every situation slightly worse than you would treat someone who isn't in prison, right? And it's like, but isn't that punishing people based on what they did in the past, even though we claim to be trying to, like, you know, fix them? And it's like, well, you know, doing bad things in the past makes you lose your right to good things now, except when it's bad things that I did in my past, in which case it's different, you know, except when there's this, that, the, and then, like, you know, it's very interesting when you get down to all of these core ideas. There's actually just like a few slight separations in us. Like, another one is interesting is that, like, I chose to live in a city, right? That's why that's why my house cost a dumb amount of money. It's not a big house. If you are a member, you can look around it, I think, for another few days. It's just a house in a location that is close to lots of other people, which is interesting because you'd figure being close to lots of other people is like the worst thing for normal reasons, but also for pandemic reasons. But it's like it's a thing that means that you get 1,000 restaurants within my delivery radius. Will I ever go to 1,000 places? I don't think I will. I've actually, you know, should we talk about city living? I don't think we should. I think most people who watch these videos are like, we get it, Toy Cat, you like cities. So I like cities. Some people don't like cities, and rather than having like a debate about like how can we have these two things coexist, because ultimately cities do need people to recreate outside of cities, because cities are very poor places to raise children, and towns and villages are generally, for most people, especially young people, poor places to live. You know, like they don't have as many entertainment opportunities. Having more people is a great thing when you're young and you need to, I don't know, find someone to settle down and play Minecraft with. I don't know what it is. Young'uns do on the internet these days. But you need those things, right? And so how do we find a place where those things can coexist peacefully? Rather than, you know, we should turn the whole of the country into a giant city, or we should turn the entirety of the... There shouldn't be cities. Why do we even have... Like, I don't understand why you know, London has public transport. Like, shouldn't you just all use cars like the rest of the country? Or like that, you know, that's like the New York and San Francisco thing in the United States. Like, people not realizing that, like, things can coexist. Like, you can have cars for towns. Also, I was here for some reason. I had to pick up something from the house. Oh, I remember what it was. I've got this big empty shulker box. I'm going to fill it with gravel right now. Look at this. I've already got a shulker box full of gravel, huh? I guess I'm going to take the excess gravel and the excess gravel, and I'm going to put it in this shulker box. Because, you know what? I've got too much gravel. Has that come up yet? It's going to be a lot of fun, actually, to use gravel for my draining, because that will make it very slightly different. But yeah, so I think can I tell you about one of the normal human things I've done this week that, like, I hate? I made a to-do list, and because there's too many dumb things I'm attempting on a daily basis. And so I made a to-do list, and I've been slowly. One sec. Oh, it was a couple of my neighbors leaving the house. You know, here's something interesting. Is like, you know, if you have a house that's near lots of people making noises, it's like harder. And so I this weekend I made a to-do list. I hate it because, like, if you know, no one can tell you what you can and cannot do. Shouldn't that include yourself? And the answer is, like, usually my dream world is one where I, like, kind of work out what I want to do on an hour-to-hour basis. I feel it. You know, there's a lot of fun to that, but I'm trying to, like, structure myself so, like, things actually get done, basically. And so that's been my current goal for a little bit. Also, let's place down our shulker box. Let's honestly, there's so much to, like, even begin on doing this. It's gonna be a fun little mini stream series that maybe no one watches because people have forgotten who Toycat is over this time. Speaking of forgetting who Toycat is, I have one last thing before we hit the torch on this chain, because I've been teasing you for long enough. You know, I enjoy teasing you for this long. Wait, what did we put the crafting table under there? Yeah, look at that. Isn't that fun? Now that kind of gives away what we're doing there. I've got to put it somewhere else entirely. Just, you know, it goes over here. Now you don't spot its half snaps. You just think, wow, Toycat has worked out a way to suspend blocks in midair. So interesting, right? But you know what else is interesting? I had my fire alarm go off this last weekend, and it's like a very surreal thing that, like, oh yeah, this problem for you is a problem for people around you. And that's the ultimate sad thing, is that you ultimately want problems to just be your problems, but they kind of can become those around yours too. And so, like, if someone solves your problem for you, sometimes you think, wow, that's them being so nice. But sometimes it's like, well, really, aren't they just solving a problem they have in their own, you know, brain, mind as well? And to some extent, that's always what it is. Speaking of solving problems, here is the biggest problem you didn't know you had. Watching what is effectively a game of dominoes happen as it slowly builds a little sand something or other over here. I don't know why this is so compelling to watch, but you've got to admit it is, right? Just watching sand slowly build. There, this is such a good idea. You could full on make a house. You couldn't put a roof on it. Unless you place string in the sky. Now, even then it wouldn't work. But a really good idea that is definitely underutilized is making a house via this. Now look at that. I've now got sand walls that just made themselves. It's actually, honestly, for the amount of time I put in, it's a very underwhelming pile of sand. But you know what? Here's another life lesson. You know what Toycat talks about life and the universe and everything? Is sometimes you put a little work in something and it goes nowhere. I was hoping this video would round out and prove to you it's better than you expected. But really it just proved it's a lot worse than you would have expected. I am looking forward to getting some amount of normalcy going in my life again. I want these videos to improve. That, you know, like this is my last 720p video for hopefully a very long time. And I'm going to be getting back to that hopefully fun video life soon, with the 4K and multiple camera angles that you might see on, like, the third channel. Because I've been up to too much recently. I'm trying to trim it down to the most important things. And that should mean that we'll have videos here on the first channel on a more regular, orderly basis. Thank you so much for sticking me through it. It's been the craziest time, and your loyalty means so much. It is, you have many choices of Minecraft YouTubers, and thank you for choosing me. And thank you for hopefully coming along on Thursday to watch me drain an ocean. At least part 1. I'm sure it will be multiple parts. But you know what? We won't call it part 1 until it's over and I realize there definitely needs to be a part 2, because that's how we be. And so yeah, I'll be doing a little live stream test either tomorrow or the day after on one of the other channels, or maybe here, I don't know for sure. But I'll be doing a little live stream test. It'll be great to be back to live streaming. It's great to be back to Let's Playing in a house that is, like, going to be consistent and stable. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Goodbye.